Hey everyone, what's up? My name is Dante. Today I'm talking about an experience I just had with an ayahuasca ceremony, the Sacred Valley tribe here in Peru outside of Pisac, created by a shaman, Diego Palma. I was really curious to have this experience because a lot of people have many different mixed opinions. Some people say that this is a beautiful experience of brilliant music, so powerful. Other people say that they're not holding this space really well. And they both have valid points, and I am taking my perspective from this experience that is, they are really not in their integrity, they're not authentic. It is perhaps not unsafe, but it is, let's put it this way, let's go right to the point. At the end of the ceremony, the shaman, whoever he was like being really preachy and saying these super trite spiritual ideas that people who have been in this, like myself, for quite a while, we've heard it time and time again, and I could feel that he didn't believe what he might have believed what he was saying, but he didn't know what he was saying. It was just an idea that he comprehended. Things like, we always have to be radiating love, without radiating love when he's saying that. And there's a lot of examples of this. I'm sure they will pop into my brain again as I go through this. One of the last things he said was, so remember this like the Matrix. You take the red pill or the blue pill. And when you take ayahuasca, it's like you take the red pill. And now you can't forget. And I'm just like cringing so hard the entire time. And it's not like this. Ayahuasca gives you what you give ayahuasca. So yes, ayahuasca is going to make things more real, more open. Though, if you just stay in the safe zone, it's just a blue pill. It's not going to open you. And this is what the space they created was like. It was like there was, 60 or 70 people there, and half of them were drinking ayahuasca for the first time. None of those people received personal assistance. I felt the energy of all those people super uncomfortable, super tense, super isolated. The whole time, up into the end, it even got worse because we're in this sacred silence and not speaking, and this extends beyond the space of the ceremony until outside the ceremony. It's like nobody can really process and unwind. So we have this ceremony from from 7 to 1 or 2 in the morning, and then immediately afterwards everyone is it felt like it was like a teenage slumber party. Like that was the kind of superficial mindset people were in just after coming out of this ayahuasca experience. It was like everyone came in their bubble reality and stayed in their bubble reality. So when we're working with a sacred medicine, or when we're creating a true space of integration and healing together, it's a co-creation. We're transparent, we're open, we connect with each other. We want to feel how everything is connected. Yet in this space, it was like a super controlled experience where everyone came as an individual and stayed an individual. Those boundaries and bubbles stayed up, yet it was so uncomfortable that those boundaries and bubbles were up and everyone was so close together and packed in. It was super weird in every sense of the word. I have to say, though, as I'm going to title this video, I loved your ayahuasca concert, and I really did. because I have my own connection with the medicine, and they gave pretty strong yet soft medicine, and the space itself is super beautiful. So, you know, the medicine worked with me, and I got my messages and my downloads and recalibrated in my own way, though there got to be a point where I just couldn't be in the ceremonial room anymore. I just had to go out. And I mean, there was a lot of different phases of this. When I first arrived, and everyone was just kind of sitting there quietly, and then they explained about the medicine, then everyone comes up and has their cup, and it felt okay for a while. I was like, you know, still kind of, as the first dose comes up, you know, in it really like present with the music, which is super beautiful. And after it came time for the second cup, when I really started getting downloads, getting new information, energies, like for me, I just wanted to express in some way. So I'm moving and, you know, starting to bring through these light languages and sounds very, very quietly. And then they come over and hush me, as it's sacred silence and we're not allowed to do that. And I was like, oh great, I'm hushed again by another shaman. And this happens quite a lot in medicine circles, especially for starseeds who are kind of open and want to express. We get hushed. And after that I just went out and I had a little dance. I was dancing, singing, playing, and just, you know, like in this super open, beautiful space. And then I went back in, and it was just like the dark energy and the stagnation was just super overwhelming. And once I kind of had my bearings enough to be outside and just be there, I did not come back into the space until they made me come back into the space, because it was time to close the ceremony. And then they just assumed that I knew closing the ceremony meant we're all supposed to sit up and be present with them. But I was just, you know, like, okay, I'm gonna lay down. I need to just like not feel this thing happening so much. And then like 5-10 minutes later they came to me like, we can't close the ceremony now, brother. You gotta get up if you can. Just sit up. And this was when this super trite, vapid, insipid speech about all of the different spiritual things came through. And again, like, talking about radiating love but not radiating love. And the one thing, like, I was cringing the whole time. It was like, it's almost too awkward and uncomfortable to remember all the details of how these fake words were flowing through this person. But one of the last things that he said was about belonging, and that was the exact opposite of what I felt in that space. There was no belonging. It was a controlled experience, and everyone was just, you know, it was almost like, you can call it an ayahuasca concert, going a little bit further than that. It's ayahuasca brainwashing, because you just sit there, you drink, and they give you all these ideas. You listen to them. You're not allowed to express. You're not allowed to, you know, connect with other people. It's like everyone's in their own space, personal reality bubble. And when people are just living in their personality bubble, there's no opportunity to feel belonging, because you're just here in your space. And, you know, I went outside after the ceremony, because again, like, they were just chatting, and like, it was so different from what I was used to with the Shipibo, like, coming from 6 ceremonies with them. You know, they Icaros the whole night. Everyone's getting their own healing, their own Icaro, their own blessing, prayers with the tobacco that's super clearing. And like, when I'm in a space or in a process with that, it activates and it moves everything. And it triggers deeper processes for other people, just having that presence and that connection. That ancient prayer is so powerful. And then afterwards, with the Shipibo, you know, like they keep the space really quiet. You just go to sleep. If you want to talk, you go outside. And they're jovial, they're happy, they're actually radiating love. They're like super in it in the most joyful way possible. And very funny. This is just my experience. I know that there's, like, with shamanism in general, there's more dangerous or unsafe practitioners than there are good ones. I happen to be with quite good Shipibo, though I can't speak for all Shipibo, can't speak for all anything. So yeah, it was just very weird after the ceremony when it's like, it really felt like a stupid little slumber party, like people just saying these like really trite, boring ideas and like, you know, not connecting in this deep way. It felt super strange and didn't really give me the place to integrate either. So I think that this center is a really awesome place for people who are looking to the surface level of things to find their meaning and their connection. And it's really just set up to be that way. It's a beautiful center. It's so pristine and artistic, and you know, it's got all the spiritual things, the Buddha statue, the pictures, the flower of life, mandala, and the mountains. It's beautiful. And this is really appealing to people a lot. The music is really beautiful. They're good musicians. I really felt the power of the music the first rounds, and then it got to a point where I was like, you know, this music can't make up for the fact of how awkward and how disconnected this feels. And it was better for me to be outside of the room where people were in this weird stagnant energy than it was for me to be there. Anyway, so the music's good, the space is good, the people look really, you know, proper, and they speak with this like confident authority, and it's all about that surface level of things ultimately. So, you know, a Western person or a modernized person, because it's honestly, it's what scares me the most is like this place has become seemingly popular for Peruvians, Cusqueños as well. There were quite some there, and I was like, you're in your own country, like this is where you're from, you cannot find something better than this. That scared me. And yeah, it really just makes it so that it's a comfortable experience for people, yet when you stay in your comfort zone, you don't expand. And it's actually, you know, I said before, it's not dangerous in the sense that like they're gonna steal energy from you and sap you of energy. They're just going to neglect you, and neglect is just as traumatic as abuse, and it's almost a more insidious kind of trauma, because nothing happened that was bad. When you have the trauma from neglect, it's like you have no explanation logically for why you're feeling this isolation and the sadness and the separation, because on the surface level you may have everything else that you need. You may have all of your needs of the material world accounted for, but when you're not having that connection, neglect creates trauma. And it's a space of neglect. It really feels like a space of people who have been conditioned into the individualist, materialist mindset of our modern age, and then translate that into medicine work. People are saying things with, well, it's true that this Sacred Valley tribe does not give back to the community, the Peruvian people, the local people, and it's siphoning business away from local Huachimeros and people from Peru really doing the work authentically, because people think that this materialistic, fake way of doing things is acceptable. It's not. I'm really, I'm making this video because I really don't want to see this inauthentic stuff continuing in the medicine world and in the spiritual world. There's tons of it in both, and that's why I'm trying to keep it real, There's no trying, only keeping it real. Yeah, they don't give back to the community. It's and this happens in a lot of these spiritual places in Latin America, unfortunately. It may just be all about the money. It's a very expensive center. They're making it $4 to $6 grand each big ceremony like this. They're doing pretty good. In their honoring some degree of generosity, they did give me a half-price discount when I wrote them a month ago and said I really don't have it at the moment, but I really want to be there. So that was kind, though. Also, the way the response was okay, we appreciate our work, so we can offer you this. And I don't know, there was also something a little bit forced about it. When really facing face to face the people leading the ceremony, holding the space, I felt this disconnect, and as I felt more activated after the medicine, I really felt they really didn't like me, they felt threatened by me, and I also felt very uncomfortable with them. I didn't look them in the eye. I was like, okay, I'm not doing this now. And maybe I just need to learn from this to, I don't know if that's true either. I was just thinking if I would speak up to them directly and express my opinion, maybe something would change. Yet from where I really see their energy, where they're at, that doesn't seem likely. So, yeah. So, this has still been a good experience for me because I can learn from anything and use it to grow. And I think what I got most from this experience was a demonstration of the way that I don't want to do things. And it allows me to see more of the way that I want to do things. So to create a space of true belonging, true community, we need to really allow everyone to express themselves. We need to see that we're not alone in doing our work, that we need others, that it is a co-creation, it is a supported effort, it is a mutual co-creation, and we're all doing a part in it. I don't believe anyone should come to ayahuasca as a passive receiver. It's an active engagement with the medicine, and it's going to bring you much more when you actively engage with the people around you as well. And this kind of deep love, this deep allowance of connection then allows, in that space of medicine, for much deeper traumas, fears, blockages to come up that are processed in a different way. Just laying back and, doing the listening and receiving of this thing, it's a limited way of doing things, and it can be good for some people's first time with ayahuasca, though I would not send any first timer there. It's scary because I feel like they may just, go in a space of not knowing what's going to happen and leave feeling much more isolated. It was a very isolated experience. And, the contradiction, they call themselves the Sacred Valley Tribe, and it's kind of like stealing from the Sacred Valley in a way, because it's not a tribe, it's not a tribal thing in any way. It's like a performance. It's an ayahuasca performance, concert, brainwashing. There's no felt family connection, but there's so much talk about it. And that's the trippiest thing ever, is like, they can be talking about this idea, and someone who's experienced a lot of this stuff, I can just feel how they don't understand it. But everyone else around is like, oh, and just like, yeah. Oof, 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 oh baby. Oh. Too much. Not a tribe, and it's super appropriative for them to call themselves Sacred Valley Tribe. I didn't meet Diego. Diego was sick. Diego has cancer. He's really not doing well. I really hope he heals and he recovers and everything works out for him. Though, this part's really going to piss some people off. I just have to say it. There's no disease that doesn't come with a metaphysical, emotional backing. And I know that some of those spiritual teachers disagree, but too bad. This is my story. This is how I experience it and how I see it. The physical diseases are always a manifestation of an emotional blockage. Cancer is often created out of a deep self-hatred. Yet this self-hatred becomes a cancer because it is super suppressed. It is a hatred for a part of oneself that one has chosen to disidentify from, to cut off, to block the flow of energy to. And so I really believe that the cancer could originate from this energy that I feel in this space of disconnection, of a lack of wholeness, a lack of real togetherness, a lack of real presence with each other. One has to first be really present with all of the different parts of oneself in order to be present for the many different parts of a bigger community. So it is truly human connection directly between people, shared vulnerability, the ability and choice to co-create and have an equal value philosophy, seeing everyone as valid, seeing them in their gifts and in their power, in their strength, and inspiring that and encouraging that in others. This is what creates a world of connection where we're breaking from this trap of being separate selves. Ayahuasca can take you beyond the experience of being a separate, isolated individual into understanding that you are everything, you are one with everything. Everything beyond you and outside of you also is within you. And it is this connection, this dissolving of the sense of self that is the truest awakening. The path of shamanism may or may not be a path to awakening, and there's more shaman leading towards brujeria or dark magic than there are towards the light. And you will know the difference because when you are around the shamanism that breeds the light and brings the light, makes you feel connected, safe, and dissolves the sense of this is just who I am. It brings you to feel that you are so far beyond, that you are connected to everything. You can feel the oneness with everything. And if you're a space holder, you need to be in that energy and holding that energy in order for other people to experience that energy. Other people who are in that flow of oneness can awaken in others. But if you are just teaching it as an idea and giving some people some potion or drug, it's not going to work. So all my prayers to all on the medicine path, to the Sacred Valley Tribe and everyone, and I really hope people find their truth and find connection with each other in a true and beautiful way. Bye.